Welcome to Greg Plays Games. This is my first video of the new year, and I'm going to be talking about all the games I played last year. I was hoping to get this out sooner, but hey, here we are. Better late than never. So if you haven't seen my last video of games I plan on playing this year, check that out if you want future content, or content I will be playing in the future. But right now I'm just going to be discussing every single game I played this year. I have them ranked in order. I'm going to be starting with my least favorite game, going to my game of the year, my personal game of the year, and the Greg Plays Games game of the year is obviously a very coveted, lucrative title to have. So stay tuned for the number one, or just fast forward to it. No timestamps though, so good luck finding that shit. It's going to be at the end. Actually, it'd be probably easy to find. Anyways, the first game I played about 20 games, maybe a little less, but my least favorite game I played this year was Sonic Superstars. I did a review on the channel, really hated it, did not have fun playing it. Did get the Platinum Trophy, which might indicate that I liked it. I didn't like it at all. You can check out my review, my least favorite game of the year. And then next up, at number 18 is Star Wars Battlefront Classic. Another game I actually did the Platinum Trophy on PlayStation 4. Another game I was pretty disappointed in. Mainly, my main issue was that the multiplayer didn't really work in a seamless or logical way when it first released. I don't know if that's been fixed. I've not touched it since I got the Platinum Trophy. I just got the Platinum Trophy because it was pretty easy. It just kind of took a little bit of time and some grinding. And that is just kind of a game I grew up playing, so I kind of wanted to have the Platinum Trophy for it, but not a game I'm going to be revisiting anytime soon, unfortunately. I hope they make a modern version of it, and just kind of the fact that you couldn't easily get into a multiplayer game with your friends just blew my mind. At number 17 is Arkham Asylum. I have played Arkham City and then Arkham Knight, but I'd never played Asylum, and it is my least favorite out of that trilogy. I've just never really been a fan of the way the Batman character moves around. Like when he fights, he feels agile, he feels powerful, but when he moves around, it feels like you're fucking carrying a bag of bricks with you. I just never really understood that. I hate that close up over the shoulder angle that kind of wasn't really originated in Batman, but that was like kind of like, the first game I played with it and really didn't like it then. I don't like it in God of War. I like my third person kind of taken back to see the full player, and that always irritated me about those games. And this is the one that started it. So a fun game, but just really personally not my favorite out of the games I played this year. At number 16 was Grand Theft Auto 3. Another game I did the Platinum Trophy for and did a review of that experience on the channel. I really had a ton of fun with that game. I would say at this point, kind of moving forward, these are all games that I genuinely enjoyed playing for one reason or another. I really, not going to spend a lot of time playing a game I don't enjoy unless I'm going for the Platinum Trophy. So even though it's kind of low on the list, or a lot of these are low on the list, doesn't mean that they're bad games. They're just where I ranked them. At number 15, Dragon Quest III HD 2D. Really kind of just, got in here, played the main story. I had big plans to do the Platinum Trophy, but then I just kind of ran out of steam. I just am not a huge turn-based combat fan, or haven't really found a game that really speaks to me. I really like the art style and the music of this game. I don't know. There's something about it that I just really couldn't get super into, but it was fun. I enjoyed the time I played with it. I put in a lot of time to beat the game, so it wasn't like I didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't, it's a series I might return to in the future. I don't really know. I don't know if I'm going to be playing the HD 1 and 2 remakes that'll be coming out this year. At number 14 is Tomb Raider, the definitive edition. I believe that's the name of the game. At least it's the first game out of the newer Tomb Raider games. It had a lot of horror elements in addition to kind of, being that familiar kind of Uncharted gameplay style. In some ways, I actually really liked I beat the entire Tomb Raider series kind of into 2025, but You know, that first one really kind of hooked me into the series. It was a game franchise I hadn't played until this year, and I got those games on sale for probably like $5, and I was really impressed, really blown away, and had a ton of fun. Honestly, I kind of like the Tomb Raider trilogy more than the original Uncharted trilogy. In some regards, I think overall I'm a Uncharted fan more, but I didn't get into Uncharted until Uncharted 4. And Uncharted 4 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I would put this game in that same category, but I really enjoyed it. At number 13 is Madden 25. I have a couple of kind of confusing rankings here because these are ongoing games. At the end of the day, I don't think the Madden franchise is good. I think it's net overall terrible. I think it's damaging towards the video game industry and towards consumers. But it's the only, you know, NFL licensed football game that you can really play. So if you're a fan of football, this is kind of what you're stuck with. And I do love football, so I end up playing Madden every year. I did have a lot of fun just messing around with the franchise, but I mean, it's the same game every year. I just love football, so this is more of a test to my love of football as opposed to Madden. At number 12 is actually College Football 25. Kind of similar thing with Madden here, except I think it just has better gameplay mechanics. I think the game itself is better. I played a lot more Madden, but I think it just subjectively looking at the games, College Football 25 does a lot more from a game mechanics perspective, like the way the ball is thrown, the way the players move while you're running. I think all of that is better than Madden, and I really hope that Madden implements that next year. Overall, I'm just not a huge college football fan, more NFL, but that game itself was obviously a long time coming. Probably a lot of people's most played game this year. There's so much excitement around it, and I definitely bought into that excitement and enjoyed my time with the game. Bought it full price like a sucker. Number 11 is Fortnite. I love Fortnite. I love hopping on with friends, you know, playing solo. I think they do a really good job of making that game interesting, engaging, and obviously the microtransaction side of it is up for review. Like I mentioned, I'm a sucker. I've definitely spent my fair share of money on skins and you know, emotes. Now you can buy Nike shoes. It's insane. I don't know if it's overall good, but I think that they at least, if you want to play it for free, you can play it for free, and what they provide for free is unmatched. There's no other comparison. Maybe Roblox. I've not really played Roblox, so I can't really speak on that. At number 10 is Pokemon TCG Pocket. Once I downloaded this game, I couldn't stop playing it. I've fallen off more recently, but I definitely still think about opening packs. As I mentioned before, total sucker. I'm down to open packs. I have definitely spent $10 on the game, maybe 20, but then I was kind of like, okay, I can't be doing this. So guys, get a grip on your finances, get a grip on your life. Don't let these video games own your pocketbook, man. Okay, Pokemon TCG Pocket was a ton of fun. I definitely, you know, played it endlessly on my phone for a minute. I've kind of pulled myself back together since then, but man, oh my gosh, it was like being fucking addicted to drugs for like 2 weeks. At number 9, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. We are officially in the top 10, and I should have mentioned that. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, remake for Nintendo Switch from a GameCube game. I had never played it on GameCube. I'd only tried to play Paper Mario Origami King and really hated it. As I mentioned before, turn-based combat has always been something I've really struggled to enjoy. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, you know, same thing. I really enjoyed the story, the world exploration, the characters, the dialogue between the characters was really funny, and a lot of times a lot more highbrow than you would have expected for a Mario game. Like there's a little section in the game where they talked about climate change and global warming. I thought that was really funny, especially since that game came out in probably 2004, when that probably would have been well, still is kind of a hot button issue that people will debate about, but it was really funny and entertaining to see it addressed all the way back in a GameCube game. Just a lot of humor and personality in that game, and even though I didn't love the combat and how persistent it was, like it just felt never ending, and I think for some people they love that. I did not. I was not in there for that. So I think just that the chore of having to do those turn-to-turn combat scenarios was just really starting to weigh on me towards the end, and I just wanted to finish the story. But I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the art style. It was probably my favorite game Nintendo released this year, I would say. And it was kind of a weak year for Nintendo, so I'm excited to see what they have in store for 2025, whatever that may be. At number 8 is Rise of the Tomb Raider. I thought that this was a more fleshed out and kind of more realized idea from the original Tomb Raider in some senses, but it was also very different. It kind of took a more open world, open section approach, whereas the original one felt very linear. And I think this, that kind of came out in a time when linear games were kind of, being annexed and being, criticized. Everything had to be open worlds. And I think this game really towed the line very well of being open world, but still remaining to be a linear narrative driven story. I really thought the, Soviet Russian setting was interesting. Yeah, it was just really fun. I just had a really fun time playing that game. At number 7, Guacamelee 2. If you've never played the original Guacamelee, it is truly one of the best games I've played. It's a Metroidvania 2D platformer style game. It kind of has like a, anyone can play it, but it has some challenge to it. You can go and find insane challenges. Like the original one, I 100% beat, did the PlayStation Platinum Trophy for. The second game was really kind of testing my skill. It was certainly a skill issue. I just couldn't see it through. I did one playthrough, really enjoyed it. There's so much personality, so much humor and heart in these games. There's, just not many games that combine, creativity as well as entertainment and humor in a way that's actually funny and entertaining. Like I think of High on Life. Some people may have loved that game. It just didn't really hit for me. I think this humor is for anyone, and it's like self-referential. It's a lot of like meme culture, but it also pokes fun of that too. So it's interesting. It's really funny. I definitely recommend. At number 6 was Metroid Samus Returns. I ended up playing a lot of games on my Nintendo 3DS. I made a video on my collection of that. So I have a ton of 3DS games that I'm trying to play through. One game that I tried to beat but didn't get to was Ocarina of Time. So I mentioned that in my last video. But Metroid Samus Returns, really, really have fallen in love with 2D Metroid games. 3D Metroid, kind of, I own it right here. Not my favorite, but the 2D games I love. Like the Metroid Fusion. I love Metroid Fusion. That's probably my favorite out of the 2D Metroids I've played so far. I really love the pixel art in that, but Metroid Samus Returns is kind of the game that came out before Metroid Dread, and I had never played this on the 3DS when I had one originally. It was a ton of fun. It was an amazing game. I had a blast playing it. It was one of those games when I picked it up, I really couldn't put it down, and there weren't a ton of those types of games on my list this year, and that was definitely one of them. At number 5, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I did the Platinum Trophy for this game as well. It was another classic game I had never played, and I just really wanted to, go through some video game history and play games that are highly regarded that I'd never played before, because it's just interesting to kind of see where I love Grand Theft Auto, so it's just so interesting to see where these games got their roots. Grand Theft Auto 4 was really the first game I was able to play, and my introduction before that was Simpsons Hit and Run. I just didn't really play those PlayStation 2 Grand Theft Auto games, and that's what hooked a lot of people into the franchise, so I wanted to play those. Vice City, I actually had a ton of fun playing. I thought it was like the perfect map size. It was like there was a lot to do to get the Platinum Trophy for that game and to 100% beat it, but the game's size itself kind of, put limits on that, and that made it a lot more entertaining and fun because you could see the goalpost at the end. It was a lot of work, but it was just fun to do. There were some things that were kind of a pain in the ass. I talk about those in my review for the game too, so definitely check that out if you want more in-depth thoughts. At number 4, Super Mario 3D Land. This is a game I've played before, I've beat all the way through before, But you know, once I got my 3DS, I needed to play this game again. I love Mario. I'm an absolute fiend for 3D Mario. I love 3D Land and 3D Worlds. I love open world 3D Mario, but having those timed 3D levels was actually really fun, kind of change of pace from the game. And the 3DS, the 3D aspect of those games is so underrated. I know it's not for everyone, but I love the 3D function on the 3DS. I think it adds so much more depth and engagement to the games, and especially since I have the newer model, it works a lot better too. And I never had any issues with it straining my eyes. It's just so entertaining to play in 3D. So I'm a huge fan. And this is probably the game that uses that functionality the best, is Super Mario 3D Land. That's probably the only game you would need to play in 3D, because there are some platforming sections that benefit from that 3D field of perception. So I love that game. I love the 3D part of it. I think that's so unique and original. And at the time when this came out and when I played it, there just wasn't really much Mario going on. Still is not. So I needed some in my life. At number 3, this for me is probably, outside of the Tomb Raider franchise, this next game was probably my biggest kind of surprise game that kind of just took me by, you know, caught me off guard as far as how much I enjoyed it. And it is Luigi's Mansion. I played it on my 3DS. It was a 3DS remake of the GameCube version. And like I said with Samus Returns, this game, once I would start playing it, I just could not stop. I think I beat it in like 2 or 3 days. It wasn't terribly long, so it was like an easier game to beat, which I think is part of the reason why I enjoyed it so much. I played it right around Halloween time too, so the vibes were right. It was just a blast. It is like, when I looked at the play session length on my 3DS, I think it was like every time I played it, I was playing it for at least an hour. So it was a ton of fun. It was a great kind of pick up and play before bed type game, even though I kind of gorged on it once I started getting into it. It was so fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little disappointed to hear that the second one isn't as good, because Luigi's Mansion probably became one of my favorite games just from playing it this year. I had so much fun. It's a game I felt like I'd be able to revisit in the future as well. At number 2 is Cyberpunk 2077. This was a game I had kind of really, you know, pushed off on playing, but it was always on sale, so it always intrigued me, and I was just kind of looking for some new PlayStation 5 games to play, and I hadn't really been playing any first-person games. This list, I think this is the first one on the list that's in first person. So that speaks volumes. But I wanted to go out of my way to play some first person games, because I don't really normally play those. And I had a ton of fun playing Cyberpunk. The entire time I played, the only thing I could think about was that I wish this game were in third person, because you spend so much time developing your character, their appearance, you know, their personality, what cars you drive. It was just so frustrating that you could only see them in certain scenarios, or when you were driving in a vehicle or on a motorcycle. But that was my only complaint of the game. I thought that the combat felt really good. Like, I love the adaptive trigger feedback for when you were shooting pistols. Like, there was this explosive revolver that I found in one mission, and I just never stopped using it because it was so satisfying. But like, even the mantis blades, I think they're called, like, there's so much fun combat, so much, you know, fun exploration, and the world itself is just incredible. I had a ton of fun playing Cyberpunk 2077. Got the platinum trophy for that too, which took forever. I think I put 100 hours into the game. Pretty reasonable platinum trophy to get, though, if you're into that kind of shit. Yeah, really had a ton of fun with Cyberpunk. I mean, number 2 game on my games of 2024 list, so only one spot higher. That's number 1. My game of the year was Astrobot. Like many people, this game just kind of, you know, I fell in love with it. There's so much personality, so much PlayStation history and references in this game. As someone who grew up with a PlayStation 2 and kind of playing and growing up in that era, I didn't play all these games that it referenced because I had a GameCube at first. So I didn't necessarily know all of the references in detail, but just from being aware, like, a lot of the references really hit. That time period of video games was really kind of special. There were so many different franchises, so many different characters. It was really fun and refreshing to see a game pay homage to those, but then also be one of those games. Like I think, you know, those games were so incredible because they were just fun. And Astrobot was just a really fun game with a lot of heart and personality. I think that's why it resonated with so many people, especially, you know, people, you know, pushing 30 or, you know, in the 25 to 30 age range who grew up with the PlayStation 2. I think it was a perfect nostalgia bait game for those people, while still introducing those characters to new fans in a game that is very similar to Mario. And Mario is, you know, universal across the ages, you know, just beloved games. Like everyone grew up playing Mario game or knows who Mario is. So it was really cool to see PlayStation kind of have like a new mascot in some ways. Like they don't really have a true mascot. Like right now it's, you know, well, now it's Astrobot, of course, is what I'm saying, but like who was it before? It used to be Sly Cooper, in my opinion, or Crash Bandicoot. And then, you know, in the modern era, it's been like Spider-Man and Kratos from God of War, Nathan Drake. I just think that, you know, the reason Mario is so successful is because he's in some ways pretty generic, as well as, you know, Astrobot in a lot of ways is pretty generic. But I think that also helps people connect with that character. And as long as you have personality in your games and attention to detail, I think it's going to resonate with people. I think that's what you see consistently with the Game of the Year awards, which I do appreciate, is that they award it to games that are paying attention to detail and making video games that are fun for players, as opposed to how do we make money off of these players, like a game like Star Wars Outlaw. You know, I think, you know, the game industry is kind of getting that temperature check. I don't know if they'll actually listen, because at the end of the day, they just see how much money Fortnite is making, how much money Madden will make, or, you know, EA will make off of selling you an Ultimate Team pack. So I have, you know, some hesitations that will actually see true progression in that sense. But at the end of the day, I do think you see a lot of creative, innovative video games being successful. So anyways, Astrobot is my favorite game of the year. I'm looking forward to playing some new games in 2025, hopefully on Switch 2. We shall find out later this week, or maybe already by the time this video uploaded. So thank you for checking this video out, listening to me talk about video games. If you stayed this long, you are truly a nerd. Appreciate you, and catch you in the next video. Smooches.